22 miles in, just over a third of the race done, and is my sub 7 hour dream over already? Just arriving at the start of the ACP 100k, coming up to start finish line. The time is 7:45. We start running at 8. Do a little quick setup here of the tent. Hannah's helping me out today and Elijah's doing some filming. This is what we've been training months for. The weather is good. It's a beautiful day. It's really cold at the minute, like 1 or 2 degrees, a little bit of frost on the ground, so it'll warm up nicely during the day, hopefully not get too hot. And yes, plan is we're committing, we're going for sub 7 and we'll see where we get to. Let's go. This is the ACP 100k 2026, the Limerick edition. As we make our way to the start line, you can see it's a really beautiful blue sky day, and actually went on to be a little bit too warm. Try not to shout at you too much. Warmer than ideal. The course was a loop around these playing pitches in Limerick University. It was just less than 2k long, so we walked to the start line, ran about half a lap to cross the start finish line for the first time, and then we had 51 laps to go. Just before the start here, and everyone's nerves are a bit on edge, just wanting to get going, get underway. At this point I'm feeling pretty good and confident. I have got a plan in mind and I'm going to stick to it. Start off at the right pace and try and run even splits. I don't think I mentioned this in the last update, but I did pick up a niggle during the taper there in the last week or so. Hip/glute area, which has been giving me a bit of jip. I've also been enduring / trying to heal plantar fasciitis from throughout the whole training block.
Good luck today, hey?
You feeling good? Oh, yes, perfect.
Alright.
I've loved the YouTube. Thank you for doing this. It's so good.
I'm glad. It's nice to hear when someone says something nice. You just don't know because you just put it out there. Very kind words from teammate Fabian. Thanks, Fabian. And congratulations on an amazingly executed race and a cracking time. Cheers, man.
Good luck today, hey?
We get to do this. We do. We get to do this.
The Alpha Flight 3s were my shoe weapon of choice for the ACP 100k. This is them afterwards. A little bit of wear and tear. Oh, Cindy. The last time I wore these was for the Amsterdam Marathon, and they were fresh out of the box at that point. So I wore them for then, and I immediately put them back in the box and thought they shall come out again for the ACP 100k. Not because I liked them particularly much. I didn't think they were half as good as the Alpha Fly 1s. As the race gets underway, everything is feeling good, going good, as it should do at the start of a 100k race. You always start out, adrenaline gets you, you kind of jump at the start line like any good racing horse, and away you go. But obviously try to keep things very steady, stick to the plan, stick to race pace, which was 6:44, 6:45 per mile, and just try and start hitting splits. So that's kind of what I did. I had a little bit of conversation with a few guys at the beginning of the race, but you're not there for a chat. Obviously people catch up, they haven't seen each other and what have you. That happens. I try and kind of just hang back maybe a little bit from the group, maybe just try and focus on what I'm trying to do. I know I won't have any energy to spare come the end of the race, so I don't need to start spending it now. Anyway, first few laps of the race is fine. Kind of get the lay of the land in terms of what the course is like. There's a bit of a steep sort of downhill sort of ramp, which we've just come past, and this little section here is uphill again. So just knuckling in, getting stuck into the race. Hip is a little bit niggly already. I can feel it. I mentioned niggle early on. I feel it when I'm walking, so it's obviously going to feel it when I'm running. But everything felt pretty okay, and started hitting splits. Sadly, it was not long at all into the race when the plantar fasciitis that I've been kind of enduring since January kind of kicked in again in a fairly big way. About mile 8, I think I remember looking at my watch and thinking, this is really early, far too early to be getting this kind of pain. And I talked about the Alpha Flies a second ago, the shoes I chose to wear, which was the wrong decision. Actually, before the race, before we left Belfast, which was like a 5-hour drive, before we left Belfast, I'd planned to bring the Pro 3s and actually my everyday trainer just as a change-up shoe in case something went wrong in the race, just like exactly what happened. Sadly, I forgot those shoes, and they're sitting back in a nice little neat row waiting to be packed. Just haven't got them with me and have no choice but to grit my teeth, grin and bear it, and crack on with the race. Point is, I didn't wear the Nike Alpha 3s at all, Alpha Fly 3s at all. I've been wearing Pro 3s and old Alpha Fly 1s. And actually during the races, my plantar fasciitis has been fine. The shorter races, the 50k, it was pretty much okay. I was surprised to be feeling the PF from literally mile 8. The real kind of struggle was from about mile 22 to mile 40. I think when you're in a 100k race, most of the time there's a very long way to go. Even when you get to the last third of the race, you've still got 20 miles to go type thing. So you're dealing in big numbers and long distances and long periods of time. And that's really when it gets in your head. So from mile 22, I was running in pain. My hip was sore. I showed you the clip at the beginning of the video. That was a kind of realization that I'm not achieving my sub-7 dream here. So from mile 22 to 40, it's about trying to dig in, trying to hold on. Now, the reason I say 40 is that when you're running 100k, but when you get to 40 mile mark, you've got 20 miles to go. You don't really. You've got 22 miles to go. But kind of mentally, it's like 40 miles. I got 20 miles taking me to 60. Once I get to 60, it's just 2 miles in and you're done. So 40 miles is kind of a kind of significant horizon to look forward to, like a kind of cutoff point. So I knew once I got to 40, if I get to 40, I can finish. Now, I did kind of mentally let the pace slip. I think it was, I'll put it up on screen here and show you. So you can see here my Strava splits, and basically I start off kind of hitting the splits in 644, 645, 646, 646, 642, 644, and that's going pretty well. To the quarter away, to the quarter point, which is what, 16 odd miles. And then obviously, as I've just mentioned, I was starting to struggle from about mile 8 sort of mentally, with pain in my feet, what have you. So that kind of just didn't get any better all day. Obviously it got worse. I managed to maintain kind of pace till around about the marathon mark, and then things just started to go sliding down the hill. Trying to maintain 650s, trying to maintain 7s, trying to maintain 705s, and just all the while losing pace. I think my slowest split there is what, 755, mile 51, and then maybe there was a little slight rally towards the end, not very much, very slight kick at the end. So really, before the halfway point, splits were done, and the race, in terms of achieving my goal, my target time, the goal I've put out on YouTube, the time I've been trying to hit for months, and I feel like I am in the shape to hit, just wasn't happening today. The splits tell the story.
I'm gonna give you the camera, okay? I'm gonna give you the camera. Here you go. Here you go, City.
A quick shout out to those guys who were at the corner just as you came out of the car park and turned right up the hill. They were so supportive. They were supporting me all day, making me smile each lap, just giving, every little shout helps, but those guys were like super supportive, as you just heard. Basically, the rest of the race was a struggle, as you can see from my face right now. The whole thing was a battle. I didn't come in here with B goals and C goals and D goals like you probably should have. I didn't come in here trying to run a PB. I didn't even come in here to try and run a championship race, which I definitely should have in hindsight. I had set out my goal probably from last year. Last year's race even was my goal to run a sub-7. And this year my full and only goal was to run a sub-7. Once that had gone, to be honest, I spent 3 or 4 hours in a 7-hour race trying to think of reasons to quit. Now, I have super sore feet. I have a pain in my hip and glute. Everything is hurting. As you progress through the race, the pain only gets worse, it doesn't get better. Maybe I did have good reasons to quit, and now, pretty much a week later, as I'm standing here making this voice recording, I can't run at the minute because my calf feels like it's been ripped off. So maybe I should have quit, but I'm not a quitter. I don't give up easily, and I did what I could. I tried to get to the end, and I did. I crossed the line, and that's me there crossing the line. Never more happy to finish, never more happy to complete and get it done. Time is 7 hours and 34 minutes and a few seconds, which is maybe my 3rd quickest time. It's not really a bad time, it's just not what I set out to do. I do intend to run sub-7 at some point. Let's hope it's maybe later this year if possible. Still have a chance of getting it on the Irish team if I can run a time. But that is for the future. Hopefully the very near future, but the future. And I have to say I'm proud that I managed to get this race done. I had a lot of support there on the day. I had my family, I had my wife, my mum, my sister was on course giving me support, teammates giving me support, but a big shout out to Hannah, my chief crew, and all the Northern Ireland team for just bearing with me, putting up with me. My name is Tim. I run miles and efforts must be redoubled.